Hi, my name is Scott Campshafer, and I'm a clinical social worker in Austin, Texas. And today I would like to talk to you all about people who are in sexual minorities. These are typically referred to as gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgendered individuals. And there's a lot of, I think, misunderstanding that's out there about these individuals, and hopefully what I can do today, in part at least, is to help kind of dispel some of those myths and ideas. I think one of the things that tends to be very widespread is the idea that individuals who are in sexual minorities have somehow chosen to be gay, chosen to be a lesbian or transgendered, and to a great extent, that's not really true. It's like, they went up to a counter and they could choose different lifestyles to have, and they chose one of those instead of the heterosexual, or what we sometimes in the clinical community call heteronormative uh, preference types, or sexual orientations, I should say. It's not. It's a sexual preference, but it's also a sexual orientation. This is actually something that further down the road I realized was a misunderstanding of mine. And I can't actually say that I was walking around with the idea that people who are in sexual minorities somehow chose to be that way, but I didn't really understand how they came to be that way. And a big light came on for me when I realized that this is something that people more wake up to than choose. People choose their behavior, but they can't necessarily choose who they're attracted to. That's just something that's a matter of personal discovery. It's not like I choose to be attracted to so and so. So when we talk about sexual orientation, that is something that is not subject to somebody's conscious choice. And it's something that people discover and wake up to. And I think one of the other things that helps to get a better understanding of people who are in sexual minorities is to understand sexuality is something that is more on a continuum, rather than you need to be either straight or you're gay and lesbian. So if you look at it from the perspective of people can be all straight or all gay and lesbian, but there's a lot of variation in between, then that I think allows a better understanding that there's all kinds of degrees of sexual orientation, and people who get to this point where they're no longer purely heterosexual, and they develop some kind of perhaps bisexual, which is also a sexual, considered a sexual minority, and then move into gay, lesbian orientation, then the lines really get blurred, and there's so much variation there that people aren't just pure heterosexual, straight, or pure gay and lesbian, that there's also the bisexual component there too. And as far as who people choose to marry when they're in that particular subgroup, that particular sexual minority, then that there is some choice there. But again, it's not like I'm in control of who I choose to be attracted to. I am in control of who I choose to be in relationship with, and perhaps I may have greater preferences for people of the same sex, but then I choose to marry someone of the opposite sex, and I consider myself bisexual, then there I've made a choice, and that's where the choice comes in. So I think these days there's a lot of stigmatization, and there's a lot of animosity directed to people who are in sexual minorities, and this is important for everybody to be aware of, because murders of transgender individuals, particularly in the United States, has seen a significant uptick in the last year or so. And I think that really indicates a lot of prejudice and a lot of hatred that's being directed towards these individuals, when the hatred, the anger that's directed toward these individuals is a reflection on the people who experience that. It's not a reflection on the people who take the brunt of this, and the people who are on the receiving end of the violence and the hatred and the prejudice. That reflects more of a greater misunderstanding and issues within the individual who feels that hatred and animosity towards these individuals, when they are people just like everybody else who struggle with their sexuality. And to say that, and to assume that people who are heterosexual or straight don't struggle with their sexuality is a big misunderstanding. And that's what lumps everybody together in the same boat, is that, sexuality is an issue that's bigger than any individual one of us. And it requires relationships to not only to fulfill our own definition of sexual health, but also to help us understand our particular station in life, whether it's my sexual orientation or who I choose to be committed to, or just how to deal with relationships in general. We all need relationships, and to put a label and to stigmatize somebody just because of the particular gender they choose and the gender that they identify with is very shows a great degree of ignorance and a great degree of sickness in the individuals who feel that way towards others. And the other sexual minority that I haven't really talked about in terms of attraction, and I did identify them earlier, are transgendered individuals. And people who are transgendered have an experience of being of a gender internally other than the gender that they are externally. And again, this is not a matter of choice. This is a matter of coming to awareness and awakening to something that is in the individual, and supporting these individuals on their journey is a very important and essential thing to help these individuals realize their own sexuality, their own humanity. So I know I could kind of go on for a long time, but what I wanted to do was basically just kind of talk about sexual minorities in general, and to help raise awareness and to motivate people to have a greater understanding of people who don't identify with a particular category of sexuality. So I hope you all have benefited from this, and I look forward to talking some more about the issues around sexuality. If you have any questions or concerns about your own or friend or family members, you're welcome to call me. My number is on the website, and I'd be happy to talk with you about your own issues around your own sexuality or those of a friend or family member, to support you or to support them in working things through, because that will help you and everyone else to have a better life because of it. So thank you, and have a good day.